Rainbow Dash, moaned Derpy. Can we take a break? I'm tired. No, Derpy, said Rainbow Dash curtly. We're trying to escape from an evil jelly monster. Keep flying until your wings fall off. Not to undercut you, Rainbow, said Twilight, chuckling nervously as she dangled beneath the two Pegasi, but I think my hooves will fall off long before Derpy's wings do. Ugh, sighed Rainbow Dash. Fine, whatever. We'll settle down at the dam. It's just up ahead. They came upon the dam shortly. Derpy seemed all too glad for the rest and descended so quickly that Rainbow Dash had to beat her wings twice as hard to keep them aloft. Finally, they alighted and released Twilight from their grips. She rubbed her sore shoulders and rotated them, mouthing, "Ow," over and over again. Take 5, Derpy, said Rainbow Dash. Derpy sighed, smiled, and planted her butt onto the dam's cement structure. A tremor ran through the ground. Heck of a thing going on today, said Rainbow Dash. I leave you ponies alone for one morning, and when I come back, the place is being eaten by jelly. Care to explain? Twilight tried to shrug, but her sore shoulders rebelled. She winced. Hey, this is news to me, too. All I wanted was some jam for breakfast. Next thing I know, Sweet Apple Acres is covered in strawberry jelly, Ponyville's flooded, and Sugar Cube Corner is in desperate need of an architect. She glanced at Derpy, who sat contentedly on the ground, blowing bubbles with her tongue. I thought you couldn't stand that pony. Rainbow shrugged. She has her moments. I don't hate her. I just don't like working with her. But the boss and almost all the Flyer Wing are on furlough right now, and they left me and Derpy to handle weather duties for a couple of days. Called it a team-building exercise, she said derisively, punctuating her words with air quotes. I guess it all worked out for you, though, huh? I'm not complaining, said Twilight with a smile, leaning against the safety railing that ran through the dam's perimeter. Thanks, Rainbow Dash. She felt a pony drape herself over her back and nuzzle her cheek and sighed. Thank you, too, Derpy. Derpy beamed and disengaged, returning to her spot and plopping back down. Another tremor, this one larger, ran through the ground. Crazy wall-eyed mail-mare, muttered Rainbow Dash. I don't even know why the boss let you moonlight as a weather pony. Her expression turned serious all of a sudden. What about the others? Pinky, Rarity, Applejack, Fluttershy. Spike isn't with you. Twilight's heart sank, and she bowed her head, hanging over the railing. In the distance was Ponyville, submerged beneath Smooze. The flames from the fire on the Sugar Cube Corner tower still blazed, adding vivid orange to Smooze's palette of turquoise, red, and purple. He might be a monstrous elder god, but he sure is pretty at least, thought Twilight. Well, Twi? Pressed Rainbow Dash. Twilight sighed sadly. Fluttershy got away with Pound Cake and Apple Bloom, she said, turning to Rainbow Dash. But the others... Rainbow Dash's face went ashen. She closed her eyes and nodded her head, turning away from Twilight and facing the dam. Then she drew her head back and rammed it as hard as she could into the railing. Damn it! She snapped, and she smashed against the rail again, punctuating it with another expletive. Twilight caught her before she could do it a third time. Rainbow! This isn't going to bring him back, you know! Rainbow Dash sighed. It's my fault, Twi. Derpy and I skipped work because I wanted to go to that stupid dirigible convention and make fun of all the snooty earth ponies who couldn't fly. If I'd stayed behind, I could have done something. I could have saved. She sighed a second time and covered her face with her hooves. Twilight patted her back comfortingly. It's no pony's fault, Rainbow. Well, except maybe that one pony who merged with Smooze. It's probably a little bit his fault. But even then, it isn't yours. You couldn't have known this would happen. Rainbow Dash looked at her friend with tears in her eyes. Twilight smiled at her. Hurting yourself isn't the solution to this problem. If we're gonna stop Smooze, then we need you at your most heroic. Rainbow Dash blinked. Tears leaked from her eyes, but she smiled through them. Yeah, she hiccuped. You're right. She sniffed and rubbed the spot on her head where she'd whacked the railing. Ow. That wasn't smart. Guess I'm not cut out to be an egghead after all. I'm a big enough egghead for the both of us, Rainbow, said Twilight. Now, let's get down to business. We need to stop the Smooze. Now, what are his weaknesses? Rainbow Dash folded her forelegs on the railing and leaned her chin against them. He doesn't like water, she frowned. If I could get my weather team back from furlough... But no, they're off in Coldsmore getting wasted, and that's a 3-day flight from here. Water, huh? Asked Twilight. She looked over the railing, down at the river below, then at the water behind the dam. She tapped Rainbow Dash's shoulder to draw her attention, then gestured at the dam they were standing on, smiling slyly. Rainbow Dash smirked. Didn't you just fix this dam? She asked. Easy come, easy go, said Twilight. That's pretty nonchalant for a neat freak egghead like you, said Rainbow Dash. Can you do it? Twilight sighed. On a good day, wanton magical destruction would be no sweat, but I pretty much tapped myself out defending every pony against Smooze. Rainbow Dash threw her hooves into the air and groaned. Great! So unless one of us happens to have a 50-kiloton bomb on their hooves, this dam isn't going to... A tremor ran through the ground, shaking Twilight and Rainbow. Okay, seriously, snapped Rainbow Dash. What is... Another tremor interrupted her, followed by a third, then a fourth in short order. Rainbow? Said Twilight. Is that... normal? She pointed at Derpy, and Rainbow turned around to look. Derpy rose to her hooves from her sitting position, then plopped back down on her rump, sending a tremor through the dam. She paused for a few seconds, then stood again, paused for a handful more, then sat back down, once again sending a tremor through the dam. "Derpy," asked the face-hoofing Rainbow Dash, "what are you doing?" "Practicing," said Derpy. She stood, waited for a few moments, then sat back down. The dam shook. "Practicing for what, Derpy?" asked Twilight. Derpy stared at Twilight for a long, long moment. Her eyes rotated in opposite directions. Then she grinned. "Practicing!" "Twi," said Rainbow Dash. She grabbed her friend and pulled her back to the railing. "Take a look at this." She gestured down at the dam's front. A long fracture ran vertically from the center of the dam almost to the bottom. As they watched, they heard Derpy slam her iron butt against the ground, and the fracture grew longer and wider. A dribble of water leaked from it now. "Derpy!" cried Twilight. "Do you know what you've done?" Derpy paused midway between standing and sitting and frowned. "I don't like guessing games," she said flatly. "Derpy, you gorgeous creature!" said Rainbow Dash, rushing to the mailmare's side. "You just saved Ponyville from a snotty, sticky end. I could kiss you!" She took Derpy's face in her hooves and seemed to seriously consider planting one on her before she backed away abruptly. "But I won't. There are enough rumors as it is." She looked back at Twilight, serious once again. "You know, Twilight, if we break the dam, then we're all going to get washed away with the town." "You won't," said Twilight, "because you're going to fly away." Rainbow took a step toward her friend, her expression one of incomprehension. "What?" Twilight took a deep breath and let it out slowly. She trotted to the edge of the dam and stared out at what had once been Ponyville. Cold gripped her heart. She remembered what Rarity said, how Pinkie remained behind to cover the others' escape. Did she feel the same way as she stared into the maw of death? Or did she have the same song in her heart as she always did? "I can't break the dam in this state, but I think I can widen the crack enough to increase the strain on the concrete beyond acceptable limits," said Twilight, a voice devoid of emotion. "The water pressure will do the rest." Rainbow Dash's eyes widened. "Twi, don't be stupid! That'll kill you!" "But not you," said Twilight evenly, "or Derpy. If Derpy breaks the dam with her butt, then we might be able to get to safety, but she won't have a chance. And I'm not willing to live with her death on my conscience. I don't think you are either. So you two leave, I'll stay." Rainbow Dash set her jaw, puffed up her chest, and unfurled her wings. She craned her head around to address Derpy. "Hey, Mailmare! Get flying to Coltimore and tell the team what's going on. Go as fast as you can and stop for nothing. You got that?" 10-4, RD, said Derpy Hoof, saluting. "Alonzi!" She took flight, bank left, and soared into the east. "Coltimore is the other way, Derpy," called Rainbow Dash. Derpy banked again, turned to the west, and waved at Rainbow Dash before disappearing over the horizon. "Why didn't you go with her?" asked Twilight. "Can you break the dam from a distance?" asked Rainbow Dash. "Can I fly you up and let you work your magic from the sky?" Twilight thought about that. "Like I said, on a normal day anything's possible, but with how burnt out I am, I think the only safe bet is if I'm close to the crack." "Well, then I'm not going anywhere," said Rainbow Dash firmly. She trotted toward Twilight to stand beside her. "I'm staying right here with you." Twilight's jaw dropped. It whacked the railing painfully, and she slammed it shut. "Ow." She shook her head. "Rainbow, think sensibly about this. I'm not walking away from this alive. Do you know the term suicide mission?" "So what?" asked Rainbow Dash, fixing Twilight with an intense stare. "We're best friends. We live together, we play together, we work together, party together, go to frilly frou-frou galas together, and save ponies together. And if we have to, we die together." She turned away from Twilight and stared in the direction of Ponyville. "There's no place I'd rather be right now than right here with you. I'm staying, and that's final." Twilight Sparkle's eyes swam with tears. She blinked them back, but one or two escaped and ran down her purple face. "You don't have to do this, you know. I'm not letting my only remaining best friend die alone. I can't do that. So yeah, I have to do this." She wet her dry lips and held her head in a little higher. "Hop to it, Egghead." Twilight was certain that her final moments would be terror-stricken and cold. Instead, she felt a calm in her heart that almost made the prospect of dying a wet, airless death bearable. She nuzzled the Pegasus softly, feeling a warmth spread beneath her cheek. "Thank you, Rainbow." She turned back to the dam, closed her eyes, and concentrated hard on the fracture in the wall. She focused, visualizing the fracture spreading, the water dripping, the strain on the concrete becoming unbearable. She heard a loud groan, followed by the sound of concrete crumbling. She could feel cracks spreading beneath her hooves, knew that the structure was about to shatter, that she and her friend were about to be plunged into a watery grave. Before the wall gave way completely, she felt something soft and feathery drape around her back and draw her close. Smooth seethed. The Pegasus pony's final strike left a deep gash in his jelly flesh. The wound would heal, but more troubling was the damage to his aspect, his messiah. The pony was left unconscious and unresponsive, and he feared that he would never awaken. Smooze perceived the flaming wreck of Sugar Cube Corner and knew that there was only one remaining course of action. He tenderly removed the gray pony from his body with reverence and dignity befitting a true servant of a god.
You gave me hope that this world could be saved,
he said to the unconscious stallion.
A fleeting dream, one that I now know to be foolish. But for a time, my beloved son, there was joy in me. I have you to thank for it.
The stallion burbled in his sleep.
I will give you an end as befits a messiah of your caliber,
said Smooze.
You will burn, and your ashes will merge with me. In that way, you will still be Smooze for all time.
Bouncing baby bunnies burning brightly, burbled the stallion.
And when that is done,
said Smooze,
to Canterlot we shall go. My Smooze will run through its streets. My Smooze will chase down its citizens and devour them as they devoured me for so many millennia. I will make Princess Celestia watch as I swallow her sister whole, and she will call me her god in the moments before I consume her too.
In the distance, a wide fissure split a dam in two. A massive sluice of water spilled from the dam, flooded the river, ran over every breakwater in its path, and barreled toward Ponyville rapidly. Smooze didn't know what was coming. He was too preoccupied with his gloating.
Hear me now, Canterlot! Hear me, Equestria! Hear me, all you heathen nations!
He boomed.
I come for you now, a wrathful god, my patience and compassion spent, and you will know my name is Smooze when I lay my vengeance upon thee!
Smooze started to lower the stallion into the fire. Water met jelly with a tremendous splash, and Smooze screamed at the agonizing sensation. It rinsed through his being, carved him into bits, and dissolved them, killing him a little at a time. He tried to escape from the impromptu freshwater tsunami to no avail. It coursed through him, washing him away. In his dying moments, Smooze struggled to hold his messiah aloft as the rising tide of water ate him piecemeal. But the water wore away at him, dissolved his body more and more, until all that was left was a single tentacle jutting from the water, curled protectively around the prone body of an unconscious pony. A wave lashed against the tentacle, and it quietly washed away. The pony fell into the water, and he drifted. Twilight Sparkle inhaled sharply, only to choke on trapped water. Violent coughs racked her body as she fought to eject it from her trachea. "She's awake!" cried Pinkie Pie's voice. "Your Majesty, Twilight's awake!" Twilight felt some pony throw her forelegs around her neck and pull her upright into a constricting embrace. This did nothing to help with her cough. "Oh, Twilight, I was so worried about you! Don't you ever do that to me again, you hear me? I know where you—" "Pinkie Pie," said the gentle voice of Princess Celestia, "you can let her go now." "Oh!" She felt Pinkie Pie release her, and she fell backward, impacting a hard surface with more force than she would have liked. Twilight still coughed violently, her lungs still burned, and she couldn't quite see clearly. But she was alive, and that was more than she could have hoped for. She felt a familiar, warm, sunny aura appear beside her, and stirred. "Princess?" "It's me," said Princess Celestia kindly. "The balloon carrying Fluttershy and the foals made it to the palace. We mobilized the guard and flew here as quickly as we could, but by the time we arrived, you'd already flooded the town. I wonder if all my future visits to Ponyville will be accompanied by gratuitous property damage." Twilight smiled weakly. "Sorry, Your Majesty," she croaked. Princess Celestia laughed. "Twilight, saving hundreds of townsponys at the expense of the town is nothing to apologize for. And anyway, Ponyville is a robust little burg. I'm sure it'll be back on its hooves in no time at all." "Saved?" mumbled Twilight. The memory of the townsponys being devoured made her heart sink slowly into her stomach. "Didn't save. Every pony swallowed." Nope," chirped Pinkie Pie. "Sorry, Smarty, but that's where you're wrong. When that big old tidal wave came swooshing in like... it washed away every last bit of old stick in the smooze and brought us all back at the same time. Ain't it grand?" Twilight groaned, relieved and annoyed at the same time. "Doesn't make any sense. Conservation of mass. Laws of physics. Physics, Mizzix. I'm Pinkie Pie." She heard the sound of the party pony splashing into the water, humming happily to herself. "Your friend may not have phrased it quite the way I would have," said Celestia bemusedly, "but her advice is sound. Don't think too hard about this one, Twilight Sparkle. It'll only make convalescing that much harder." "Good advice," said Twilight. Water still burned her throat, but she was regaining her voice little by little, and that made her happy. Sudden thought sent her plummeting back into her stomach. "Rainbow Dash, she was with me at the dam. Is she—" "Right here, Egghead," said Rainbow Dash softly. She felt a feather brush against her nose. "I was up before you were." "She didn't leave your side the entire time you were unconscious," said Princess Celestia. "Truly a worthy barrier of the element of loyalty." "I just did what any friend in my position would have done," said Rainbow Dash casually. "As I said, The princess chuckled. Twilight felt Princess Celestia's muzzle brush affectionately against her forehead. Rest well, my dearest and most faithful student. She heard a shimmering sound that built to a crescendo, saw a bright flash through her eyelids, and she knew that the princess was gone. Glad you pulled through, said Rainbow Dash with a chuckle. Don't get me wrong, I'm gladly die by any of my friends' sides. I just rather, live by their sides. Seems more fun that way. Twilight rolled onto her belly and tried to push onto her hooves. With Rainbow Dash's help, she was able to stay standing, but couldn't do much else. She blinked rapidly, clearing her vision enough to discern where she was. She and Rainbow Dash stood upon an overturned cart that acted as a makeshift raft, and they drifted gently down what had once been, in its drier days, Ponyville's main boulevard. Ponies lined the roofs and peeked out of the windows at the flooded town. The Cutie Mark Crusaders sat together on a nearby rooftop, hugging one another close and smiling happily. Pinkie Pie backstroked past them. She waved as she went. The fillies returned it. They came upon the flooded, burnt ruins of Sugar Cube Corner. Spike and Rarity sat upon the broken tower. The unicorn curled on the floor, resting her chin on her forelegs. The dragon was snuggled against her flank. She caught Twilight's eye, smiled, and winked. Twilight giggled, coughed up a bit of water in the process. Rarity was kind enough to pretend not to notice. It's weird how often this town gets trashed, mused Rainbow Dash. Maybe after we put it back together this time we can see about keeping it from falling apart again.
Your town will forever remain a flooded, pathetic ruin!
Boomed a deep, reverberating voice that shook Twilight to her very core. A thick, red jelly blob perched atop a house. A brown Stetson hat clung to its outer membrane. Smooze! Growled Rainbow Dash. So, some of you survived the flood, huh?
All but this was annihilated, but it matters not! I am eternal!
Said Smooze.
I am forever! This is a momentary setback. I shall devour again, I shall regain my power, and you shall know my name is Smooze when I lay my vengeance!
There was a sudden roll of thunder, followed by a heavy deluge of rain that covered Smooze, melting him away in seconds, and leaving behind only a wet, hatless, very confused Applejack. She blinked at Rainbow Dash and Twilight Sparkle. Winter wrap-up go south again? She asked. Twilight looked above Applejack's head at a very proud gray Pegasus who sat on her haunches upon a fluffy black cloud. Derpy? She called. Derpy beamed brightly at Twilight Sparkle. I told you I was practicing! She patted the cloud affectionately. That'll do, Stormy. That'll do.